And we're using a recipe that is about 70% Floetrol. The pouring medium recipe is about 70% Floetrol and about 30% like a gloss, some sort of medium with a little bit of gloss in it. And the reason for that is because Floetrol can have a mattifying effect. So you're gonna wanna put a little gloss back in. And of course your paint already has that. So it's gonna put a little gloss back in. And Floetrol, like I was saying, is not an art medium. It's a house paint additive. It's meant for when they wanna spray the paint through a paint sprayer. Keeps the nozzle from clogging as much. It keeps the paint, allows the paint to dry slower, and it will make it a little more fluid. So that product works out nicely when you want to do things with fluid paint on your canvas. So it's used quite a bit. So I mixed some pouring medium already. That's, like I said, about 70% Floetrol, and then it needs to be about 30% something that adds gloss. So you don't have to worry too much about what you're putting in that 30%. Whatever medium or gloss medium you have at home or whatever will work fine. So I mixed that pouring medium and then I combined it with our paint colors. So what I'm going to do for the demonstration is just to show you, sorry, let me back up, just to make it cohesive. And then the third element is going to be what you use to swipe over it. You're going to use some sort of palette knife and you'll choose your size or shape for whatever you would like. There's no rules on that. And then it's going to be a swipe, what we call a swipe catalyst or a cell activator. And this one is specifically mixed with another Floetrol product called Australian Floetrol, which is literally from Australia. They use it there to do the exact same thing we use our Floetrol to do. It has a different formula and it behaves differently. And when you mix your paint, a fairly high density paint, with the Australian Floetrol, you get a really nice effect of the cells and the lacing and the swiping across. So the painting is going to consist of our base color, our colors, and then our swipe activator. So you have a few color choices to make as you're doing it. So I mixed this sort of like minty blue. I'm feeling like it's a little dark. Do you mind handing me the white? I'm gonna do a little something. So I'm actually doing a little experimenting here today, so I'm gonna be your guinea pig. We're using a paint with glitter in it, and I have never done this or any pouring technique with a paint with glitter. So you'll get to see if it's good or not, and then you'll know from going on. So I'm actually gonna put a little bit of white down on my base, and then, you know, I mix these things and I think they're good, and then they sit for a few minutes and I come back and I feel like they're thick. I might put a little water in that base for you guys, but and then I'm gonna take my little minty blue and I'm actually just gonna, we're gonna marble it in a little bit. And so I'm gonna double palette knife because I'm gonna spread my base with the palette knife just to get a bit of like a marbly gradient out of the white and the blue. So you're gonna mostly wanna cover your canvas. Doesn't have to be right to the edges, because again, we're gonna tilt it out after we do the swiping. But you're gonna wanna get your base out as close to the edges as you can to start with. And then we're gonna put our colors in. Now this is another area where you're gonna have some choices. So I like to line them up kind of like a line. We'll find out what that glitter does for us, or doesn't do for us. We'll find out. You kind of want to keep them as close to each other's. You want them to touch a little bit.
So I've watched a bunch of videos on YouTube, and I've seen this technique. I've also seen the technique where they just put them on top of each other.
Okay.
And what is the name of the second technique? Is the name?
Swiping.
Swiping.
Yeah. So now the choice becomes, do you want to swipe in the direction where each color is going to lay on top of the color in front of it, along with your swiping catalyst, or do you want to swipe this way and get each color separate? Now, because of the way I put this on the canvas, I'm pretty much need to go this way now. But if I had wanted to go this way, I probably should have done my colors that way. But you could do either. What happens is if I go this way, left to right, I'm gonna have my, whatever swipe catalyst I choose, that color, along with each of the colors in front of it, rolling over the next ones, and of course the base as well. So it's really your choice. And then the only thing you want to choose about your palette knife is you want to get one that's approximately as big as what you're going to swipe over, unless you want to have some unswiped color pops, which is also can be kind of cool sometimes too. And then once you've chosen your palette knife, they're about the same size. I'll probably use this one. Once you've chosen that, you're gonna decide what cell activator you're gonna use. I brought white, black, gold, and this is what's called Payne's gray. It's almost black. It's with a little bit of a blue hue. I'm gonna just use white. So then,
So swipe activator is nothing more than paint in Australian.
yes, it's 1 part paint. I use Amsterdam paints. They seem to work best in this formula.
Is it house paint?
No, it's a craft paint.
Oh, okay.
You get it at Michael's or
Okay.
Jerry's or, typically you're gonna do better as well with a opaque paint for whatever reason. So I mix 1 part white, titanium white, with 3 parts of the Australian Floetrol, and they're all the same formula in each of those. So then you're going to basically put along the back of your knife. You don't want so much on here that it's dripping off before you even start swiping. You kind of want it coated, but you don't want it so that if you go like that, it's on the table already. Because then you will never have anything on your palette knife by the time you get to your paint. So you just wanna coat it. So then what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just tell you before I do it, because once I do it, it's gonna be quick. I'm gonna turn the palette knife over, I'm gonna line it up to the edge of my colors, and I'm going to tilt my knife a little like this. Not a huge degree, because I don't want to dig into the paint, but just a little bit, and then I'm going to glide across. Okay.
Oh, that's cool. That's pretty cool.
And that's your effect, and then you're gonna want to stretch it. Now the other thing that you could easily do, if you chose to, is you could do several small little color areas and do more than 1 swipe on your canvas. And obviously if you're doing a really big canvas, you're probably going to want to do that. Otherwise, you're just going to have a ton of negative space, which
Do you torch this or no?
you don't have to get the effects. That's
Right.
but I tend to torch when I have a lot of air bubbles. That's usually why I torch.
Well,
It's just
yeah.
because there's a lot of air bubbles. again, because I'm using this product, I don't need the torch to pull up the...
It's a good thing because my little torch is out of fuel.
The thing with this type of a technique though is, if you do have a ton of air in your paint, you do want to torch that out before it starts to dry, because then you'll have this great effect and all of a sudden a big old bubble of the bottom base will just come through as it's drying because you didn't get rid of the air. So if there's a lot of air, you do want to torch it, but in terms of to get the cells, you don't really have to. This product will kind of give you it.
Now with your smaller colors, did you mix it with anything or it's just pure
Same
color?
pouring medium. Everything is using the same pouring medium except for the cell active.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she pre-made it right here.
Yeah, the pouring medium is like
So when you add
so when you choose your
smaller
colors,
you would put a little of this.
Okay. Is it 1-to-1? I'm sorry, I forgot. Like,
that will depend on whether you're using one of the more liquidy paints or not. So it's been about 1-to-1. I put in this cup. I put a little bit of the pouring paint and then about the same amount of the, of the pouring medium. And then like everything else, even like I was explaining last week, it's about what the consistency looked like. Because
Right.
sometimes I put a little water in. In fact, that one needs a little water. I'm going to do that before we get started. Okay, so now the stretching part, you're going to want to give yourself a little stuff. You want to have a little paint on all your corners so that the paint isn't going to get stuck on the dry canvas and not run over the edge. So you might end up putting what we call a flow extender on the corners just to make it so that your paint doesn't struggle to get over the dry canvas over to your edges. So that's what I'm doing here, just to encourage it all to go where I want it to go. Now the stretching is really up to you. What you're gonna do is you're gonna look at it and you're gonna go, what don't I like? And whatever you don't like is what you're gonna try to get rid of first. There's really nothing I don't like here. I probably don't need all of that extra blue there, so we'll probably we'll go this way a little. And just a little bit more paint here because it got a little thin and I want to encourage it to move. And now this is coming off that edge. That's going to look pretty cool. I'm probably going to want to leave that little bit of... Yes, I think I'm going to stretch these. So once you stretch that lacing over, you're going to want to quickly come back.
Yeah, I was just gonna go there.
So that you could,
Unlike a regular pour, you want to limit the stretching, right?
You want to control the parts you want to keep on the canvas so that you keep them on the canvas. I also love them when they're down the side. So if they're down the side instead of on the top, that's usually fine for me as well. So you want to do a lot of back and forth because the more you move it a little bit to the left, to the right, up, down, you're just continuing to open the cells that you've created. And then that just ends up looking cooler and cooler. So now I'm going to try to head towards my top corner just so I can get good coverage. Okay, over that.
When you're happy
And-
to tilt it towards the camera for a look at
Sure.
the camera look.
So what I'm also doing is I'm watching where it's moving the heaviest and where it looks the thickest. People call that the weight of the paint, where the weight of the paint is. So now if I wanted to start moving this bottom corner of my composition down, I wouldn't want the weight of my paint to be on the opposite corner because it's not going to help me. So when I saw the weight of the paint coming back a little, I stopped so that I could use that weight of the paint to move my composition down towards my corner so that I can get this bottom corner off.
When you say the weight of the paint, you're talking about the base?
All of it, really, but in a lot of cases, it's mostly that base, because that was your. You didn't thin out that base by going across it with the palette knife. All that other paint on the top was in front of it, so all that paint underneath kind of stayed. And so now I'm gonna and now at this point, I'm only tilting back up for composition's sake. I just want a little bit more on the bottom. Do you want me to just hold it up? I don't know how
Just a quick
zoomed
shot,
in
just
it
a quick
is.
look in the camera.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's that. And then the other option, as I mentioned, you could either have several areas on your canvas where you put only a little bit of color and you did 2 or 3 swipes. That's always possible. The other option is you put your base down and then you just sort of randomly ribbon all your colors on top of each other, and then you just swipe the whole thing. Some people do that too. Like, it's
I
really.
don't quite understand what you meant.
So the way I laid my colors in little lines, instead you can just combine them on top of each other in random patterns. And
So I'm curious as to whether any of the glitter did anything.
what I don't think it didn't do is it didn't cause me any problems.
Right.
Whether I'm gonna get anything from it, most of it is sitting right there, so
Right.
we'll see.
It didn't do much.
I think when it dries, you might find that it's just sort of under there and you can see it shimmering a little, but that's about it. I also was not totally fearless. If I was really fearless, I would have put the glitter on the first and let it go all the way across. Okay, so then now the only thing I'm looking for is just to make sure that my sides are covered so that, I have a good finished product. So that's the other thing too. When you're trying to cover sides, all you need to do is take a little of the wet paint and just move it up towards where the drip is not fully coming down, and just touch the new wet paint to the other wet paint and then just let it go, and it will just drag it down. So especially because what if I had like some of this was not fully over and I didn't want to lose that effect, I just wanted to encourage it down more. You would just take a little bit of wet paint and you would just knead it. Just gently knead it and then let it gravity do the next thing to pull it down. All right, so let's get you guys choosing your colors, your bases, your top